Hi, in this video we're going to take our fresh install of Windows Server 2008 R2 and we're going to promote it to a domain controller. Now you might be looking for a button or some sort of configuration here to do that, but in fact what we need to do is go down to Start and bring up our command prompt, and then we need to type DCPromo and press enter. The Active Directory domain services wizard will start up in a few moments, just as soon as it's prepared all the files. Okay, our wizard's just appeared here. We'll just move that over and minimize our console there. So we're not going to be doing an advanced installation. We're just going to follow the standard installation process. So I'm going to click Next. There's a little bit there about operating system compatibility issues and also a reference to Microsoft's knowledge base articles if you want to have a read of those. We're going to go past those and click Next. And now we need to tell our wizard whether in fact this particular server that we're adding is going to be adding to an existing forest, or whether we're in fact creating a brand new domain and forest, which is what we're doing. So we'll select the latter option there, click Next. We now need to come up with a fully qualified domain name. Now it's tempting if you have a company, let's say Polywaffle, which is going to be our fictitious company, to just go, well okay, let's call that polywaffle.com. It's not a good idea to do that. That should be reserved for our internet presence, for example, for when people are finding us with our web address. We can use it, but it will create some complications with the naming. So take my word for it, that's not a good idea. Similarly, we shouldn't just try and use a single name like Polywaffle. In fact, if we try and do that now, we'll see that Windows Server won't be very happy about that and actually tell us that we need to use something that it considers fully qualified. So it's got to have a dot something. So their suggestion maybe is to put corp dot and then the name of the company.com. That'll certainly work. What we're going to do on our particular example here is we're going to use a naming convention of the name of the company and then .local. Click Next. It's just doing some checks here to make sure that this name is valid and hasn't already been used. It's happy with that. And now it's going to ask us about the forest functional level. And if I just look at this drop down list here, you'll see that it lists various versions of Windows Server up to the then current build, which is Windows Server 2000 R2. So really what this is about is essentially backwards compatibility. Do you have servers already in your existing network that are older than the one you're installing now? If so, let us know that, and we will make sure that this one is compatible with or backwards compatible with your existing servers. Because this is a brand new network I'm putting together here, I'm feeling confident about going ahead with just saying that we're using Windows Server 2008 R2. We'll click Next. Now as part of this installation, it's going to install a DNS server functionality for us as well, which is fine, so we're going to click Next on that. Now in my particular case, I do get a little dialogue up here about this because in fact I already have a DNS server on my network. I'm going to ignore this for now and just say yes to continue. Now we get asked about where we'd like to store the Active Directory domain services log files. You'll see that they're all by default set for the C drive Windows. The problem I have with leaving them is on the default directory path is if for some reason in the future you should have to re-image your server, which is a common way of restoring a server that's become corrupted, you're going to lose all this information. In particular, you're going to lose your log files, which could have given you some indications about what the problem was. So I tend to put these onto a secondary drive, so perhaps you might have another physical drive installed in your server that's set up as a D drive, in which case I would change the paths to point to the D drive. Because this is just a learning exercise, I'm going to leave it on the default for C. Next, we need to come up with a password. Now, it's a good idea again that this password is not the same one as what we use to log in as an administrator on the machine, but again, because this is a learning exercise, I'm going to leave it as the same password as the login, just so that I'm not going to get stuck where I forget what that password is. Click next. So we're just about done here. It's given us a little bit of an overview or a summary of the settings that we've chosen. If we weren't happy with any of those, we could click on the back button here and go ahead and make some changes. If we're going to be setting up multiple servers, we can even export these settings and use them later on as part of what's called an answer file, which will allow us to do an unattended installation of server. I'm not going to do any of those things for this particular demonstration, so I'm just going to click next. And we'll see that the configuration will start to take place. And I'm also going to select the reboot on completion, because I really don't want to be doing anything else like adding other features or roles to my server until all of this has been completely configured and the server's had an opportunity to reboot with the new settings.